From IsReal News, this is the morning briefing for Tuesday, March 10th. Iran says it will continue fighting for as long as necessary as the conflict with Israel and the United States enters a new phase. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Tehran is prepared to keep launching missile attacks and ruled out negotiations with Washington. The statement comes as Iran continues to fire missiles toward Israel and neighboring countries following the escalation that began late last month. Iran's security leadership also issued warnings directed at the United States. National Security Council Secretary Ali Larijani said Iran would decide when the conflict ends and warned President Donald Trump against further escalation. This occurs as both sides exchange threats over the future course of the war. Multiple waves of missile launches were reported from Iran toward Israel Tuesday. Air raid sirens sounded across wide areas of the country, from northern communities to central Israel and the south. Israeli emergency services say at least one missile was intercepted during one of the attacks, and there were no immediate reports of injuries or major damage. The incidents take place as millions of residents temporarily entered protected areas during the alerts. The Israeli government has extended the nationwide special situation on the home front emergency status for 2 additional weeks. Authorities say the measure allows expanded civil defense and security measures while missile attacks continue. This occurs as Israel maintains heightened readiness across the country. Israeli airstrikes inside Iran are continuing. The Israel Defense Forces say another wave of strikes has begun against targets associated with the Iranian government in Tehran. Separate reports indicate strikes on fuel storage facilities near airports in Kerman and Shiraz. This comes as Israel continues its broader military campaign targeting Iranian military infrastructure. Satellite imagery released overnight shows extensive damage at Iran's Shahroud ballistic missile facility. The images indicate that several production and engine development buildings were destroyed. The development follows ongoing efforts by Israel and its allies to degrade Iran's missile capabilities. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Iran's missile launches have decreased significantly since the beginning of the conflict. According to U.S. military assessments, the number of Iranian missile launches has been reduced by approximately 90%. And drone attacks by more than 80%. This occurs as U.S. forces continue operations alongside Israel. The United States has warned Iran against disrupting global oil supplies through the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump said that any attempt to block oil shipments through the waterway would trigger a much stronger response from Washington. The warning follows statements by Iran's Revolutionary Guard suggesting oil exports from the region could be halted if attacks continue. Inside Washington, reports indicate growing debate within the U.S. administration about how the conflict should conclude. According to reporting in the Washington Post, some advisors are urging the president to outline an exit strategy amid concerns about political and economic consequences if the war continues for an extended period. This occurs as officials publicly state that the campaign is progressing ahead of schedule. In the broader region, Israel is reportedly preparing for a prolonged confrontation with Hezbollah in Lebanon even after the war with Iran ends. According to reporting in the Financial Times, Israeli officials expect operations against Hezbollah could continue for weeks or longer. This comes as the conflict expands beyond Iran's borders. In Europe, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz criticized a proposed Israeli settlement expansion east of Jerusalem known as the E1 project, calling the plan a mistake and urging Israel to refrain from advancing it. The comments reflect continued international scrutiny of developments in the West Bank during the ongoing war. Global financial markets are closely monitoring the conflict. Stock indexes in the United States were little changed Tuesday, while oil prices stabilized near $90 per barrel after recent volatility tied to fears of supply disruptions in the Middle East. Those are the latest headlines from IsReal News.